Welcome to episode 67 of the 3M Fear podcast. The Russian media called him the Lord of the Mummies and the Perfumer. It was 2011. A Russian former linguist, philologist, and historian, Anatoly Yurevich Moskvin, was arrested after the cops found mummified bodies of 26 girls and women between the ages of 3 and 29 in his apartment in Russia. Hello and welcome to the 3 AM Fear podcast. I'm Nikita Ferrao, mystery and thriller author. On this podcast, I talk about real crimes and real people. Due to the graphic nature of some of this content, listener discretion is advised. You can find the episode show notes on my website 3amfear.com. Let's get started. Anatoly was born on September 1st, 1966, in Gorky, Russia. The place is now called Nizhny Novgorod. When he was a schoolboy, Anatoly and his friends would often explore cemeteries, especially the one in the city's Leninsky district. I'm sorry about the pronunciations, I'm trying my best to get the Russian's name correct. In an article written on October 26, 2011, in Necrologies, a weekly publication dedicated to cemeteries and obituaries, to which he was an avid contributor, he said that his fascination with the dead began with a childhood experience. He said that he was on his way home from school when a group of men in black suits stopped him and took him to a funeral. This funeral was for an 11-year-old girl named Natasha Petrova, who had died from accidental electrocution. For reasons unknown, Anatoly was brought to this funeral. According to him, he said, quote, "An adult pushed my face down to the waxy forehead of the girl in an embroidered cap, and there was nothing I could do but kiss her as ordered." End quote. He then wrote, quote, "I kissed her once, then again, end quote. According to him, the girl's grieving mother then put a wedding ring on Anatoly's finger and a wedding ring on her dead daughter's finger. Anatoly would then go on to write, quote, "My strange marriage with Natasha Petrova was useful," end quote. Now before we go ahead with this, know that all of this is what Anatoly wrote in that article. We don't know whether this actually happened, and there is no solid proof other than what Anatoly had written. So it may be true or it may all be made up. We would never know. So according to him, after he was forced to kiss the deceased girl, Natasha Petrova, at her funeral, her mother placed the wedding rings and declared them married. This strange event deeply affected Anatoly. He began dreaming about her every night, feeling as though he was married to her ghost. At first, these dreams were intriguing. He was interested. But soon, it became a nightly thing, and Anatoly was not happy. Unable to cope with the constant dreams, he spoke to his parents, explaining that he couldn't sleep anymore. Concerned, his parents took him to see a doctor. The doctor said that the dreams may be due to puberty and suggested that Anatoly's emotions were unsettled, and so he gave him medications to sleep. Unfortunately, these medications didn't help him sleep, and Natasha's ghost still came in his dreams. As he continued to dream about her, he felt like she was truly visiting him in his dreams. And then one night, she appeared to him in a dream and told him that in order to stop these dreams and pass the burden to someone else, he needed to obtain one of their teeth. If he could get someone's tooth, the dreams would start happening to them instead of him, and Natasha would start haunting the other person. Now Anatoly found a classmate at school whom he did not like at all, and somehow he managed to get one tooth from him. Don't ask how, because I have no proof of how he got it. He said he did. He placed the tooth under the pillow as instructed by Natasha. Miraculously, the dream stopped. Anatoly claimed that this experience changed his life forever, and from then on, he would get excited about the thought of death. As a young boy, Anatoly spent most of his time in cemeteries. He would find them comforting and peaceful. Despite these unusual experiences, he was very good in school. Now you would think that a person like this, who spent most of his time in cemeteries surrounded by the dead, would not be good at school. But it was the opposite. Anatoly was really good in school. Anatoly Moskovin used to be a lecturer in Celtic studies at Nizhny Novgorod Linguistic University. He also worked at the Institute of Foreign Languages. As a philologist and linguist, he could speak 13 languages and had written many well-known books, papers, and translations. Occasionally, he worked as a journalist and wrote for a local newspaper. He called himself a necropolist, and people knew him as an expert on cemeteries. In 2005, Anatoly landed his dream job. He started working for an author who hired him to travel across Russia and visit numerous cemeteries. His job was to gather information and research the people buried there for a book. Over the course of 2 years, from 2005 to 2007, Anatoly walked on foot to 752 cemeteries, covering about 20 miles each day. Sometimes he traveled so far that he ended up camping out overnight in the cemetery. He would drink water from puddles to feel connected to the land, and often slept in haystacks or abandoned farms nearby. Occasionally, he even slept right in the graveyard, finding it strangely comforting. One night, Anatoly came across a rare opportunity when he saw that there was an open casket left overnight. Someone was supposed to be buried in it the next day, but Anatoly saw it as the perfect chance, and that night he slept in a coffin. Now, when Anatoly was moving around, the police sometimes questioned him whether he did any vandalism or theft, but he was never actually arrested because he had proof. He was going around doing academic work. His job was to move around in cemeteries, check out gravestones, and do research. Now, the work that he did at that time remained unpublished. Alexei Yesin, editor of the weekly paper Necrologies, called it unique and priceless. After Anatoly was arrested, Yesin expressed confidence that there had to be a mistake and that Anatoly was not the person they were looking for. Anatoly had done nothing wrong. After Anatoly finished his job researching cemeteries for the author, he returned home and started living a life all alone in his apartment. He worked as a freelancer and mostly spent time alone, except for the occasional time when his parents would either come or he would go on trips to the cemeteries. Starting in 2009, strange incidents began occurring in local cemeteries near Anatoly's home. Families noticed that the graves of their loved ones had been tampered with. Sometimes they were completely dug up. This would go on for 2 years. People would discover graves that were vandalized or disturbed. It was as if someone had come there, dug up the graves, or messed around. You just know that someone was there at the gravesite. Anatoly would later go on to say that he was really good at making things appear as if he had not touched the grave at all. He would allow mourners to visit the graves without realizing that he had touched or tampered with them. Now, despite all of this, we know that Anatoly was caught, and that is why we are talking about him in this episode. Now, when this grave vandalization started, the government at first thought that it was some sort of an extremist group who was doing this, but they didn't have any proof. Now, the investigation took a turn after a terrorist attack at Domodedovo Airport in Moscow in 2011. After that, authorities received reports of Muslim graves being disturbed in Nizhny Novgorod. Investigators found a cemetery where someone was painting over pictures of dead Muslims without causing any further damage. And that is how Anatoly was caught. The community became increasingly disturbed and frightened because more and more graves were being tampered with, and they had no idea who was doing it. Was someone trying to attack the country? Was someone trying to attack their families? Was someone doing it for fun? They had no idea. Police had begun investigating the case, and they finally spotted Anatoly in a graveyard where he was seen painting on gravestones. Suspecting that maybe he was the one behind all these grave disturbances, they asked him what was he doing. Now, we are not sure of what exactly Anatoly told them, but whatever it was, made the police want to take him back to his apartment to see what he was doing. Now, upon entering Anatoly's house, they were hit by a strong smell of decaying bodies. The apartment was filled with life-size, antique-looking dolls dressed in various outfits. Initially, they thought that he was some sort of a crazy doll collector, but as the police officers started moving around, they realized that these were not just ordinary dolls. When you touch them, they start playing music. There was some sort of a music box installed in their chest. As they further investigated the apartment, another officer discovered even more music boxes inserted into dolls. They also found manuals on doll making, maps of numerous cemeteries, and photographs of gravestones. Even more disturbing was that there were actual gravestones and plaques that were taken from the cemetery. As the officers continued to examine the dolls, they realized, to their horror, these were not dolls. They were decomposing bodies. Anatoly had been digging up bodies from local graveyards, bringing them home, and then using them in his disturbing craft projects. When someone is buried, usually some of their most close, most personal belongings are also buried with them. If it's a child, maybe their toys, or if it's an adult, something closer to them is buried with them. So what Anatoly was doing was that he would bring these bodies home, open them up, insert random personal objects into their chest, sometimes even pieces of their gravestones inside them, and then sew them up. In one instance, they found a hospital tag with a girl's cause of death and time of death. In another, they found a real dried human heart. Anatoly did not deny his actions when he was confronted. He admitted that he was digging up these bodies and he was stuffing them up with rags, wrapping nylon tights around their face, and often attaching doll faces because he wanted to cover their decomposing features. I'll link a description where you can watch the video of when they found Anatoly's place. The video released by the police shows bodies seated on shelves and sofas in small rooms crowded with books, papers, and general clutter. The whole room was a mess. There were books, papers, things all scattered everywhere, dolls everywhere. It's just one huge mess of a place. You can't imagine that in a mess like this, actual bodies were kept. Now, Anatoly would later further go on to say that he celebrated the birthdays of the bodies that he took from the gravestone. He created this sort of a fantasy world where they had their own language, their own customs. When he was caught, Anatoly never denied anything. He never said that he didn't do something or he has no idea how it came there. He openly said whatever he did. He completely cooperated with the investigation. He said that he had made these dolls over a period of 10 years. Now his parents, who were often away for long periods of time, had no idea about this. His parents would visit his apartment, but when they saw the dolls, they thought that it was just his collection. That's what everyone else thought. No one ever imagined that they could be real human beings, bodies of real human beings. Now, why his parents didn't smell anything the way the police did, no one knows. When his parents found out, Anatoly's father suffered a heart attack from the shock, while his mother had to be hospitalized. The 76-year-old woman would say, quote, "We saw these dolls, but we did not suspect they were dead bodies inside. We thought it was his hobby to make such big dolls and did not see anything wrong with it." End quote. Now, upon further searching, shoes in his apartment matched the footprints that were found near these graves. The police knew without a doubt that they had found their grave robber. The community and authorities were stunned. Anatoly was such a respected person, they could have never imagined that it was him. Authorities would find 26 bodies in his apartment, spanning from ages from 3 to 25 years old. Shockingly, he had kept one of these bodies for 9 years. Despite only having 26 bodies, investigators suspected that Anatoly had vandalized over 150 graves, possibly disposing some of these bodies in his garage. Maybe he thought that they had become too unpleasant and he didn't want to keep them around. Anatoly faced serious legal consequences, including charges for mutilation of corpses and desecration of graves, totaling over 11 criminal counts. The case gained widespread attention in Russian media, where Anatoly was dubbed the Lord of the Mummies. His disturbing activities had begun as early as 2003, indicating that he had been engaging in this behavior for years. In court, Anatoly was sentenced up to 5 years in prison. Now, what Anatoly claimed was that he believed he was giving these children a better life through his actions, and he said that his intentions were pure. He just wanted to give them a better life after death. After his arrest, Anatoly explained that he felt great sympathy for these dead children, and he believed that they could be brought back to life by science or black magic. As an expert on Celtic culture, he knew that ancient druids slept on graves to communicate with spirits. Now, druids were members of the high-ranking professional class in Celtic culture. These people usually would be your priests, teachers, judges, anyone on the higher end, the high-ranking people. So it is said that they slept on graves to communicate with the spirits. Now, because this is what Anatoly studied and this is something that he taught, he also believed in it. So Anatoly started looking for obituaries of recently deceased children, and whenever he found an obituary that he found interesting, he would go and sleep on that child's grave to see if the spirit wanted to be revived or brought back to life. He claimed that he did this for about 20 years and never dug up a grave without the child's permission. I don't know how the child gave him permission. Children's graves are of course very small. So as he got older, sleeping on graves became too painful. So he started bringing the bodies home. He thought that the spirits might be more willing to communicate or talk to him if they were in a safe and comfortable place. And what better than his own house? Despite being aware, he knew that whatever he was doing was illegal. Anatoly justified by saying that the children's voices were coming from the grave, calling out to him and begging him to be rescued. After undergoing psychiatric evaluation, it was determined that Anatoly suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. Consequently, on May 25, 2012, a Russian court declared him unfit to stand trial and absolved him of all criminal responsibility, which meant he was forgiven for whatever he had done and he was free. Now, after exhuming the corpses, Anatoly researched mummification techniques to preserve these bodies. He dried them using mixes of salt and baking soda and then stored them in a dry and secure place around the cemeteries. Once the bodies were dried up, Anatoly would bring them to his house and start working on turning them into dolls. Now, Anatoly's end goal was to bring these children back to life. He knew that he would somehow figure it out. Either science would go so forward as to know how to bring people back to life, or he would find some sort of black magic and then bring them back to life. It was just that he had to stop the decay process just enough for him to find out how to bring them back to life. And of course, the bodies that were with him were decaying very fast. And so he wanted to give them functional bodies. Now, since the bodies withered and shrank as they dried, Anatoly wrapped their limbs in cloth strips and stuffed their body cavities with rags and padding to make them look fuller, basically making them look like a mummy. He sometimes added wax masks decorated with nail polish over their faces and dressed them in bright children's clothes and wigs. If you look at them from far, they looked like large homemade dolls. It was unclear if each of the bodies contained a full set of human remains or that he found some and then he just made up the others. Anatoly knew that he was committing a crime, but he felt that the dead children were calling out to him to be rescued. He believed that rescuing them was more important than following the law. He was also driven by his desire to have children. Now, at one point, Anatoly did try to have a child. That is, he did try to adopt a child. But because he was a single man and his place was all messed up and not up to mark according to the adoption agency, he could not adopt a child. And Anatoly was also not sexually active. He was not attracted to anyone, so he didn't have a partner in his life. And because of that, he really wanted children and he thought that this was the best way to have them. Anatoly denied any sexual attraction to the dolls. He said that he saw them as children instead. He talked to the corpses, sang to them, watched cartoons with them, and even held birthday parties and celebrated holidays for them. He was more like a father figure to all of these dolls. The police report stated that Anatoly gathered detailed information about each woman he brought home and printed instructions from the computer on how to make dolls from human remains. The police officers who recorded the video mentioned that they each had a few shots of vodka when they got home. I can't imagine what their condition must have been after seeing that house full of dolls. The families of Anatoly's victims were deeply upset, especially when they found out that the court was not going to punish him. Many of them believed that he deserved the death penalty or at least life in prison. Instead, Anatoly was sent to have medical treatment. That is, he had to undergo psychiatric treatment. While some reports suggest that he was ordered to pay a small amount of money to all these families, this was not confirmed. Anatoly was transferred to a psychiatric clinic where he received ongoing treatment for several years. His stay was extended multiple times until 2018, when doctors deemed that he had improved and he was ready to be out in the public. At that point, Anatoly was allowed to return to his home under outpatient care. But fortunately, in 2019, authorities conducted a psychiatric evaluation just before Anatoly was due to be released. They discovered that he had not shown any kind of progress and he was kept back in the treatment system. Now, there had been rumors and he had plans on going back and digging up even more bodies and starting the whole process again. But we are not sure. In 2016, it was reported that Anatoly planned to marry a 25-year-old native of his hometown who attended his trial. But we are not sure of what happened after that, whether he did do it or not. Despite his troubled history, Anatoly has expressed hope of getting back into the society. He desires to find a partner, resume his writing and research interests, and then get back to a normal, balanced life. As far as my research goes, Anatoly is now 57 years old and he is still in care and not out free. That's it for the day. So what do you think? Do you think that Anatoly deserved to be punished? Or do you think he needed good psychiatric care which he is receiving? I'll put a poll on Spotify, and if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments, what do you think? A big thank you to all my fellow listeners who have been listening and supporting this episode. Your reviews, your listens mean a lot. If you love this episode, if you love the stories that I put out, then please do leave a rating on whichever podcasting platform you're listening from. It would really mean the world to me. Other than this, I also have a YouTube and an Instagram page. I'll link it in the description. Do check it out. I have different stories on Instagram, and I'm planning to put out some short horror stories on YouTube. So do subscribe to my YouTube channel and stay tuned. I am also an author, love fiction stories. If you want to check out my free fiction book, I'll link it in the description. I'll also link my other account in the description where I talk about fiction writing, travel, and I also will soon start sharing fiction stories. So stay tuned. So do follow me there. Thank you so much for everything. That's all for this week. Stay kind, stay safe, and see you next week.